We've all heard about it, the ultimate challenge for Pokemon fan, a Living Pokedex. But what is it and how do you get one now in 2022? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Hey, how's it going, Pokemon fans? Blaine here for Bridge4 Games. Today we're talking about one of the biggest challenges a Pokemon fan can undertake, completing a Living Pokedex. Now, obviously we always complete Pokedexes in-game, it's not that hard, but some of us, the real crazies, go ahead and take it one step further and actually go and get a Living Dex. So what is it? What makes it so much different and so much more challenging? And how do you even get one now in the era of 2022, where we have Gen 8 with Sword and Shield, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, Legends Arceus, and even Pokemon Go? Well, that's what we're going to be exploring today in our full tutorial for how to get a Living Dex right now. And with this full guide and a whole bunch of Pokeballs, you're going to be able to get your very own Living Dex for yourself with as little effort as possible, you know, the way we do our guides here on the channel. So, that being said, we're going to go ahead and dive right in, but before we do, I just want to take a second to ask that if you like the videos we have here on the channel, please make sure that you actually like them by hitting that thumbs up button, and of course consider subscribing to the channel to become part of our amazing Pokemon community to make sure that you never miss any of the awesome videos, just like this one. So that being said, let's go ahead and get started, and I'm going to talk to you guys about what exactly a Living Dex is. Alright, so let's start by talking about what a Living Pokedex actually is. So it's basically a national Pokedex, but instead of completed pages, there's one actual living species for each entry in the Pokedex, hence the name a Living Dex. Now for example, let's take a look at Charmander. Now in a national Pokedex, you can take your Charmander, evolve it into Charmeleon and Charizard, and bam, all those pages are completed. But in a Living Dex, you need one copy of each Pokemon to be their own individual species for your entries. So that means the Living Pokedex is going to have a Charmander, a Charmeleon, and a Charizard all in it, all separately. So that also happens to mean that a complete Living Pokedex is going to have Pokemon all the way from number 1 with Bulbasaur, all the way through number 905 in Amorous. Now this is actually harder than you're probably thinking. Even if we're not counting different forms and things like that, it's still over 900 Pokemon that span literally dozens of games. It's no small feat. Now one thing to make this a little easier for you is that with the Pokemon that actually have different forms, you can use either of the forms to count towards the entry in your Pokedex. So for example, let's take a Ninetales. We have Kanto Ninetales and Alola Ninetales. For the Ninetales in your Pokedex, you can pick one. They're both Ninetales, so either one is fair game. Now one thing I do want to make you guys aware of for those Pokemon with other forms, we are actually going to be using them for a future project once your Living Dex is complete. We're going to need those to complete a Form Dex and a Master Dex. But don't worry about those right now. Just kind of hang on to them and keep in mind that we're going to be using them in the future. But more on that in another video. But to get all the Pokemon and actually complete a Living Dex, you're going to need multiple systems and multiple games. You're also going to need to have a Pokemon Home Premium account because frankly, it's the only thing big enough to hold all these Pokemon. But now, if you're still watching, it probably means you're ready to rock and roll with this crazy challenge. So let's go ahead and get started by taking a look at the equipment you're going to need to actually pull this off. Now keep in mind, we're designing this guide specifically for 2022, the 8th generation of Pokemon. Now there are Pokemon you can get in older games, but really, we're focusing this on the newer titles because this is what the most amount of people have, and it's also going to be the most accessible if you want to go out and find these games today. So that means that at the very least, you're going to need to have a Nintendo Switch. In addition, you're also going to need to have Pokemon Sword and Shield and Pokemon Legends Arceus. Now, these games are obviously no-brainers because they're going to have some of the newest Pokemon, so really that's the only place we can get them from. And by the way, Pokemon Sword and Shield are both going to need to have both DLCs, the Crown Tundra and the Isle of Armor. That's how you're going to get those special Pokemon like Urshifu, Calyrex, and the horses Glastrier and Spectrier. But one thing you're probably wondering is why we need to have both copies. I mean, after all, you can trade. That is true, however, there's a couple things here. Trading for those games is probably not going to go on forever, so at some point it's going to become very hard to actually get any other Pokemon other than the ones that are actually in your games. And on top of that, if you want to catch all the Pokemon yourself and make sure that all the Pokemon in your Living Dex are 100% authentic, you're going to want to have both titles because frankly, there's a lot of exclusives and you're going to need to get all of them. So really, we just recommend getting both copies. Now on top of that, you're going to need to have Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl as well. Now, that is a lot of games that we're starting to rack up here, but the good news is, both of those games have actually just gone on sale and are available at pretty much any retailer for about $29.99. So obviously that's a really good discount. It's pretty much half off. So there's never been a better time to actually go and pick those up. Now that covers all the recent titles, but believe it or not, we're not done. We still need to get some Pokemon from some of the older titles as well. So that means you're going to need to have access to a 3DS family system. Now I highly personally recommend a new 3DS XL because it has the most processing power, but you're pretty much safe to use any one. In addition to that, you're going to need to have access to Pokemon X or Y, Pokemon Omega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire, and then Pokemon Ultra Sun or Ultra Moon. Now, fortunately, this is kind of one of the unique circumstances where you don't need both copies, you can kind of just pick one. That's because, luckily, by some sheer luck, the old Pokemon that we're going to need are not version exclusives. So honestly, just go ahead and pick whatever one you can find, whatever one you like more, or honestly, whatever one's cheaper, because I know this is getting expensive. Now, one thing I do want to bring up, because I know you guys are not going to let me forget about it. Pokemon Go is a thing, and it's definitely going to be a source of some of the Pokemon we're going to use for this project. Now, that being said, a lot of you are probably thinking that, Pokemon Go has a lot of the old Pokemon, Kanto, Johto, all that's in there. Why do we need BDSP? Well, honestly, here's the thing. If you already have all those Pokemon, you're pretty much going to be set anyways, so you can just transfer those over and you'll be good to go. In addition, though, if you don't have them, this guide is really designed to help you get basically a living dex from scratch. The problem with Pokemon Go is you can't really control what Pokemon you're going to see at any given time. Pokemon come to you a lot more passively. In the main series titles that you actually play on consoles, you can go hunt those Pokemon out and find the specific ones you're missing. It's a lot harder to do that on Pokemon Go. In addition to that, there's a lot of Pokemon that may not show up because of where you live. And honestly, that's a huge problem because we need to get all the Pokemon to complete this challenge. Now again, I did say we are going to be using Pokemon Go, and we certainly will be, for some Pokemon that we're going to need towards the end of the Pokedex. But that being said, Pokemon Go is really going to be more of an add-on and a bonus, rather than replacing any of the games we recommended picking up so far. So now that's all out of the way, I hope you guys are ready and prepared, because we're going to go ahead and jump in and start getting those Pokemon that we need for our living dex. Now for this tutorial, it really makes sense to kind of break it up into two parts. We're going to handle Gens 1 through 4 first, and then Gens 5 through 8 afterward. Now we're starting with Gen 1 through 4 because honestly, it's really the easiest to complete because of all the games we have available right now. Now let's start by grabbing our Nintendo Switch and booting up those Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl games. Now these games are a godsend for a living dex completer because honestly they have every single Pokemon for the most part, from Bulbasaur all the way to the end of Gen 4. The Grand Underground and those Pokemon hideaways are invaluable in completing a living dex. So for Bulbasaur through Snorlax plus Dratini and Dragonite, Chikorita through Blissey with Larvitar through Tyranitar, Trico through Metagross, and Turtwig through Rotom, go ahead, find all those Pokemon in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, catch them and add them to your collection. And look at that, we're pretty much already halfway done. Now a few tips here. Obviously I can't tell you the location of all 900 and change Pokemon in this video, it's going to take me way too long. So if you want to know the exact areas where Pokemon are going to spawn in the games, I highly recommend you go check out Cerebi.net or Bulbapedia. Both of them are great options. All you have to do is type in the Pokemon name and you can see exactly where they're going to spawn in those games. But for the purposes of this video, I'm really going to show you what games have them, how to get them the easiest, and really what the quickest way is to complete this Pokedex. Now another tip I can give you is aside from just going and catching them and finding them all in the Grand Underground, breeding is a really great option. It's basically the fastest way you can turn one Pokemon in a line into 3, making it so you only have to catch one instead of all 3 of them. Now that being said, a lot of Pokemon from Gens 1 through 4 are available in Legends Arceus as well as Pokemon Sword and Shield. The problem though is there are really big gaps in both, and there is a lot missing from both. So honestly, the way we like to operate, we want to do pretty much the easiest path, least amount of work, so we really recommend just booting up those BDSP games, going in and catch everything there, because honestly, one-stop shopping is a huge benefit and will make this project a lot easier. But that being said, if you are feeling adventurous, we actually have a Google Doc link in the description below that's going to tell you what games each Pokemon are available in, so go ahead and hunt them however you like. After all, this is your challenge. Alright, so now that we have all those normal Pokemon taken care of for Gens 1 through 4, we're going to go ahead and start working on our legendaries. Now for this, we're also going to split things up a little bit. I'm going to cover the legendaries like Mewtwo, Kyogre, Groudon, Palkia, Dialga, all of those legendaries, and things like the birds and the dogs and the Reggies. Those are going to be handled right now, and then we're going to tackle the mythicals afterward. Now for all those legendaries, the non-mythicals, you're really in luck because they are so easy to get. In order to actually get those in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, all you have to do is head down to Ramanas Park and then trade in some of your shards for slates. Then you can go ahead, activate the slate, and you can encounter the Pokemon. Pretty much every single legendary is there in the games, just waiting for you to catch it. It's really that simple. Now if you don't want to do it in BDSP, that's actually fine. You can go ahead and go into the Crown Tundra in your Sword and Shield games and go into Dynamax Adventures. Now the downside here is you're not able to control what legendary does show up, but you are able to find all of them, and they are only 1 per game, so once you do find one, you're not going to have to worry about encountering it again. So, Shiny Hunters may not be thrilled with this, but for the sake of completing a living dex with as little effort as possible, it's kind of pretty great. So go ahead and catch all those, get those filled in, and then you're going to be one step closer to having this complete. Now let's go ahead and talk about the mythicals. Now, I gotta be honest, this is where things get a little bit tricky because mythicals are a little less straightforward to get. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and start off with Mew, the OG mythical, and honestly one of the reasons why Pokemon caught on like wildfire throughout the world. Now Mew is obviously iconic, so there's actually a lot of ways you can add it to your game because Pokemon really wants you to have it. Mew tends to show up in a lot of events, and it's kind of a reward for a lot of miscellaneous things, so even if you don't actively pursue one right now, there's a good chance you're just going to kind of come into one before you know it. But that being said, if you want to get one right now, there are a couple options. Now, in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, if you have a save file for Let's Go Eevee or Let's Go Pikachu on your Switch, all you have to do is go ahead and head down to Floroma Town and talk to the NPC that's going to be featured on the screen right here, and he's going to go ahead and give you a Mew for having that data on your Switch. Now, another option here is going to be Pokemon Go. This is really where Pokemon Go kind of adds itself as a sort of add-on instead of replacing anything we have. Now, in Pokemon Go, Mew was actually the first mythical Pokemon to be released, obviously. So there is special research, I believe it's called the Mythical Discovery. If it's not, I'll post the correct name on the screen right now. But basically, it's still in pretty much everybody's Pokemon Go games, and all you have to do is go and complete that, and boom, you'll get yourself a Mew. Now, obviously, this only does work once, but you will be able to get that Mew and add it to your Pokemon home, getting you that one step closer to having your Living Dex be complete. Another option is actually, if you have Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee already, you can go ahead and buy the Pokeball Plus. It does come with a Mew inside of it, so you can actually still redeem that and get it in your games. I don't really want to have to do this because I don't want to add on Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu to this, but if you guys already have those games, it's another option available to you. However, the Pokeball Plus does cost a bit of money. That being said, there's also one other method. Since we're going to be using a 3DS anyways, if you have the Virtual Console games for Pokemon Red and Blue, you can use the good old-fashioned glitch method to get that Mew. Now, you are going to have to use another glitch to change its attributes to let it actually go into Pokemon Home. I'll link a video in the description below if I can find it to make that one really easy for you. But for the most part, there's pretty much a ton of options just available to you, so pick whatever one you want, and you're going to get your Mew. Oh, and by the way, if anybody asks, you didn't hear about the Mew glitch thing from me. But let's go ahead and talk about Celebi. Now, this Onion Time Traveler is a pain in the rear end to get, but there are two options you have available, so you can pick whichever one you'd like. Now, one option is waiting for a code to come out, which will actually be able to give you that Celebi. Now, we actually just had one very recently with the Dada Zarude, more on that later, but there was a gift Celebi that was included with it. And I believe it was shiny, actually, which is pink, which looks really cool. Now, obviously, waiting around is not something everybody likes to do, so again, we're going to have to go into Pokemon Go again. Now, once you have your Mew caught and all that special research taken care of, you're going to get another set of special research called A Ripple in Time. That's going to go ahead and let you get Celebi once you complete all the mission requests. Now, I am going to warn you, it's going to take a while, but at the end of it, you will have that Celebi, and it's going to be an awesome addition to your collection. Now, fortunately, when we go on to Gen 3's Mythical Jirachi, it is quite a bit easier to get than Celebi. If you happen to have that Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl game ready, go back to Floroma Town, and as long as you have save data for Pokemon Sword and Shield, you'll be able to get yourself a Jirachi, no problem. Alternatively, you can always go back to Pokemon Go, and once you have Celebi completed, you can get another special request called the 1,000-Year Slumber that will also yield you the Wishmaker Pokemon once you complete all the challenges. And that brings us to Deoxys. Now, Deoxys is a really, really weird one, because Pokemon hasn't really done any events for it or had any sort of promotions for it really in a number of years. It kind of seems like they almost sort of pushed it to the back burner, which is kind of strange because it's a Pokemon I really like and I thought a lot of people did as well. I mean, Game Freak, I get that it's an alien virus, but you can at least throw it into a den now and then. Alright, look, I got ahead of myself there, but regardless, Deoxys does have a few options for how to get one, but I really recommend going ahead and grabbing your Omega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire games. Now, in the post-game, the Delta episode, you are able to actually battle and catch a Deoxys. Now, it is really, really exciting and really, really cool, so I highly recommend you don't just power through it, you kind of enjoy the story, because really, it's really, really cool. And by the way, I don't want to drop any spoilers here, but if you do want to go ahead and complete a Form Dex or a Master Dex after this, you're going to need to get multiple Deoxys, and really the only farmable method is those games, Omega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire. So I highly recommend you go ahead and use those for this method, and probably play through them a couple times to get as many Deoxys as possible. But if you are on a time crunch, don't worry, we don't have to take care of that right now. Alright, and that's going to go ahead and bring us to Gen 4, which has 5 different mythical Pokemon. Fortunately, though, we're coming off 2 Sinnoh-based games, so getting all of these is actually going to be kind of a walk in the park. Alright, so first up, let's go ahead and tackle Manaphy and Fione. So go ahead and grab your Legends Arceus game, put it in your Switch, and find mission or request, whatever it's called, 66.
Execute Order 66.
Now don't worry, we're not going to be killing any Jedi. This is called the Seas Legend. All you have to do is go ahead and follow the mission, and you're going to go ahead and get both Pokemon able to be caught with really no effort at all. But once you're done with that, go ahead and leave that Legends Arceus game on, because Darkrai is able to be gotten through a gift if you have Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl data on your Switch, and Shaman is actually able to be found through a gift if you have Pokemon Sword and Shield data on your Switch. Those are going to be requests 92 and 93, by the way. All you have to do is go ahead, find those requests, go ahead and follow the mission, and boom, 2 more Mythicals. Only one left. And that last one, of course, is Arceus, the god of the Pokemon world itself. Now, believe it or not, there are actually multiple ways to get this Pokemon, so you kind of have a few options. Now, at the end of Pokemon Legends Arceus, if you've caught every other Pokemon in the game, you will be able to actually battle Arceus. Now, at the end of the battle, Arceus joins your team, and you will have that Pokemon for you to transfer over to Pokemon Home. However, if you want to leave that one in Pokemon Legends Arceus, once you actually complete everything in Pokemon Legends Arceus, you can go ahead and go into Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and once you have that complete, you can go ahead and get the Azure Flute in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and you'll be able to go ahead and challenge Arceus in that game, where you can also catch it. So that gives you 2 Arceus, of which you only need 1 for your Living Dex. And that actually finishes Gen 1 through 4. Are you still with me? I know this is a lot, but trust me, stay with me, we're going to get through this. Now, things are going to be a little bit different for the most recent half of the Pokemon franchise. Sword and Shield have a ton of Pokemon in them from Gens 5 through 8. So obviously it's going to be the default for where to get your Pokemon from. Now that being said, there are some pretty significant gaps, but even with that in mind, Legends Arceus, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and all the previous titles don't really have enough of the Pokemon that we're looking for, so pretty much the default is always going to be to look in Sword and Shield first, and then if they're not there, get the Pokemon from elsewhere. So here's what I'm actually going to do for this back half of the project. I'm going to go ahead and list off all the Pokemon that are not found in Sword and Shield. This is going to include some normal Pokemon, some legendaries, and some mythicals. Now do keep in mind, if I don't say one of those Pokemon's names, it's just going to be that that Pokemon is in Sword and Shield and you can go ahead and find it, no problem. So look, if you don't hear your favorite Pokemon on here, don't at me, don't go in the comments and start yelling. Go ahead, boot up the Sword and Shield games, and go catch it already. Now remember, on those Sword and Shield games, you are going to need that DLC because there are a ton of Pokemon that were added through it. And really, in order for Sword and Shield to be as comprehensive as it is, you're going to need to have both of them. Now that being said, again, if you want some exact locations where these Pokemon are found in the games, go ahead, head over to Cerebi or Bulbapedia. They are invaluable resources, and they will be a great help for you to complete this project. Alright, so that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Or, continue? I don't know, let's rock and roll. Alright, now first up, let's talk about the unit of starters. We're talking about Snivy, Servine, Superior, Tepig, Pignite, and Emboar. Now those Pokemon are going to be available in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Now obviously I didn't mention Oshawott, and that's because you can find that in Pokemon Legends Arceus, along with its evolved forms, Duat and Samurott. Now next up we have Patrat, Watchog, and all those monkeys that a lot of people tend to forget about. But don't worry, I didn't forget about them. All 8 of those Pokemon are available in X and Y. Now Sewaddle, Swadloon, and Leavanny pretty much want to let you do whatever you want because they're available in X and Y, Omega Ruby, or Alpha Sapphire, as well as Ultra Sun or Ultra Moon. So, any game has them, go find them. Now Ducklet and Swanna, first of all, they are in danger of being forgotten when Quaxley comes out, but if you do want to have them in your Pokedex, they are available in X and Y, or Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Now Dealing and Sawsbuck are available in X and Y, and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, however they are always going to be in their spring form. If you actually want to go and get any in the different forms, you're going to have to go all the way to Black and White to do that. Now next up we have the Handfish, Alamomola. That again is pretty much found anywhere in X and Y, Omega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire, or Ultra Sun or Ultra Moon. Now Tynamo, Electric, and Electros are going to be available in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, or Ultra Sun or Ultra Moon. Now a lot of Pokemon from the Kalos region were actually missing from Sword and Shield, but it turns out they all pretty much are able to be found in the same place. Alright, so let's go ahead and start with the starters. So Chespin, Quilladin, Chestnut, Fennekin, Braixen, and Delphox, as well as Froakie, Frogadier, and Greninja are all available in Pokemon X and Y, as well as Pokemon Omega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire, or Pokemon Ultra Sun or Ultra Moon. Now Scatterbug, Spupa, and Vivian are also available in X and Y or Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, as are Littleeo and of course Pyroar. Now Flabebe, Floette, and Florges, just like all the others, are available in X and Y or Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Now that brings us to Skiddo and Go-Goat, who are Pokemon that were actually really awesome in Kalos, but I guess they really wanted to be super memorable because they are only available in Kalos, so if you want those two, it's going to be X and Y. Now Frou-Frou, the Poodle Pokemon that can have all those different hairstylings, can be found in X and Y or Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. And keep in mind that in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, there's even more hairstyles for you to uncover for it. Now that's going to go ahead and bring us to Gen 7 with our Alolan starters. Now obviously we have things like Rowlet, Dartrix, Decidueye, Popplio, Brionne, and then Primarina, and then we have Incineroar, Litten, and Torracat. All those Pokemon are going to be available, obviously, in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Now, that being said, they are also all available in the Isle of Armor once you find all the Diglets. The problem being is you can only get one per save file, and it's dependent on whatever starter you chose in the Galar region. So, even though they are available in those games, I do recommend you kind of go backward and go to Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, because honestly, I think it's a lot less work. Now, speaking of Alolan Pokemon, we have Pikipek, Trumbeak, and Toucannon, who are only available in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Now, the same is true for Yungoos and Gumshoos, who are also only available in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Now, some other Pokemon like Kerballer, Crabominable, Oricorio, Minior, Pomala, and Bruxish are going to be the last ones who are not in Sword and Shield, but don't worry, again, they are going to be in their native games, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. And I know I mentioned this before, but again, for the last bit of Pokemon in the Pokedex, you're going to want to go ahead and head into your DLC to get those. You know, your Calyrex, your horses, your Regidrago, your Regieleki, as well as your Cubfu and Urshifu. And you're going to go ahead and have to create a second playthrough to get an Urshifu and a Cubfu. And don't forget Legends Arceus, because they added a bunch of new evolutions in that game, and those all go at the very end of the Pokedex. So again, we are going to have a complete list of the entire Pokedex, how it should be ordered, down in the description below. But again, just keep in mind, for the end of those 2 Pokedexes, you're going to want to go to the DLC and Legends Arceus. And look at that, we're pretty much all done except for the Mythicals. And it's pretty appropriate that we've made it this far, because the next Pokemon up is going to be the Victory Pokemon, Victini. Now, Pokemon is notoriously stingy with this Pokemon. We've never really gotten a shiny for it, and it's almost impossible to find pretty much anywhere. However, good old Pokemon Go is going to be a huge help here. Once you have your Gen 4 special research done and you get that mythical, go ahead and go back into your special research and look for investigating a mysterious energy. And there you go, you can get a Victini no problem once you follow all those steps. Now, thankfully though, on the other hand, Keldeo is a lot easier to get. In the Crown Tundra, there's a mission where all you have to do is follow the footsteps of all the other Swords of Justice, go to their location, and then catch them. And once you get all 3, you're going to be able to go ahead and follow the footsteps and battle Keldeo. Now, when it comes time to getting Meloetta, there's special research in Pokemon Go called Finding Your Voice. Go ahead and complete that, and you'll have a Meloetta for your collection. Other than that, though, it's been a little bit hard to find, so you may have to wait until another event comes if you don't want to use Pokemon Go. Now, unfortunately, that brings us to Genesect, and honestly, there's no real easy way to get it right now. Now, this is one of the very rare instances where you may have to actually trade to get this Pokemon, but there is some good news. Even though you can't directly get it in Pokemon Go or find it in any of the games right now, they have actually done some events for it in the last year, which usually means that it's a Pokemon they want to make sure people get. So what I would do for you if you need a Genesect, go ahead and either trade or keep your eyes peeled for any upcoming events, and then you'll be able to get your Genesect for your collection, no problem. Alright guys, now unfortunately I hate to follow that up with more bad news, but when it comes to Gen 6 Mythicals, Volcanion, Diancie, and Hoopa are all pretty much in the same barrel as Genesect. There really haven't been any events for them, and they're actually pretty tough to come by. That being said, Hoopa was recently released in Pokemon Go as of the last year or so. There are periodically events for it, but they do end, and the special research doesn't last the way it does for some of the other Mythicals. That being said, it's usually indicative that it's probably going to be showing up in Pokemon Go soon and be permanent, so the good news is you can find it. However, with Volcanion and Diancie, those haven't even been in Pokemon Go yet, and we haven't seen any distributions for them in a while. So those are going to be ones that you're going to either have to trade for, or you're going to want to kind of hang out for and just wait for an event to show up. Sooner or later, they will have events for them, so it really kind of depends on how urgently you want to complete your Living Dex. And that brings us to Gen 7, where finally I have some good news. You can actually get Magearna so easily that it's incredible, and you can actually get 2 different kinds. All you have to do is go ahead and complete the National Pokedex in one of your games, go ahead and link that game to your Pokemon Home account, and guess what? As long as you're playing on mobile and can redeem mystery gifts, you will get an original color Magearna mystery gift for literally free. All you have to do is go ahead and select it, and you'll get it. It's the one that looks like a Pokeball instead of the silver one, so it's a really cool addition to your collection, and it takes literally no time to get. Alright, but that's the original colored one. What if you want the silver colored one, the kind of faded one? Personally, that's the one I like because it looks more robotic. Well, guess what? Somehow that one's even easier. That one was actually distributed by a QR code that Pokemon made a while ago. Now, the cool thing is that the QR code was actually hardwired into the game. That means that it never really has an expiration date. So guess what? See this QR code right here? Go ahead and put that onto your camera on your 3DS in your Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon game, and guess what? You got yourself another Magearna. Unfortunately, though, that brings us to some more bad news. Marshadow and Zeraora are actually in the same boat as Diancie and Volcanion. There aren't really any ways to get it right now, even though there have been in the past. Now, that being said, they did do a Zeraora event in Sword and Shield, so it does show that they are cognizant of the fact that people do want these Pokemon. So really, the best bet is either going to be to wait for an event for these, which is going to be coming at some point, or again, go ahead and trade for them. The one good thing I will say about trading for them that's probably a little bit safer is that because these Pokemon are a lot more new, there's going to be a lot more legitimate copies out there if you're worried about that kind of thing. So go ahead, tread carefully, but you should be able to get these 2 Pokemon eventually, and again, get one step closer to finishing the dex. Now that's going to go ahead and bring us to Meltan, the Pokemon that had the most debate over what generation it actually belonged in. That being said, if you go ahead and go into Pokemon Go, there's actually still special research for you to go ahead and get a Meltan delivered to you from the professor. Oh yeah, and one other really cool thing. As of the time I'm recording this video, next month, July of 2022, there's actually going to be a special event in Pokemon Go to coincide with the Pokemon Go TCG release set, where Meltan is going to appear in the wild again. But what makes it really awesome is that this time it can be shiny, so if you happen to see this video fairly soon to when I post it, go ahead, head into Pokemon Go, and you may actually be able to get a shiny Meltan for your collection. Now, if you want to get a Melmetal, it's going to be a little bit more work, but honestly, it's not that bad. First thing you can do is go ahead and take your Meltan and give it 400 candies, and then it'll evolve it into a Melmetal, which you can then send into Pokemon Home. Now, that being said, you have another option. If you go ahead and pair your Pokemon Go account directly with Pokemon Home, you're going to get a mystery gift, which is going to be a Gigantamax capable Melmetal. So if you feel like saving yourself 400 candy and getting yourself an additional Melmetal, that is a fantastic way to go about doing it. And finally, that's going to bring us to Zarude, the most recent event mythical Pokemon. Now, this one is going to be honestly a bit bittersweet. Now, back in 2021, there were a ton of events to give Zarude out to coincide with the Pokemon movie, Secrets of the Jungle. And since we were dealing with the coronavirus pandemic, it actually made it very, very easy to get them because Pokemon made it incredibly accessible, so pretty much anybody could get one really without any effort. That being said, unfortunately, there's no way to actually go ahead and get it right now. But again, it is good for two reasons. One, because it's a Pokemon that's been in the game so frequently, there are going to be a lot of very easy options for you to trade for one. And also, because it's such a new Pokemon is probably going to go ahead and do another event for it when we get Gen 9, Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet this fall. But hey, follow the words of Douglas Adams, don't panic, and just go ahead and sit back, and eventually, you will get your Zarude, no problem, giving you, finally, a 100% complete Living Dex. And there you have it. That's how you can get a complete Living Dex in 2022, or get as close as possible to having one complete. And by the way, when you're out there completing your Living Dex, if you happen to come across those alternate forms or alternate versions of those Pokemon, make sure you're hanging on to those, because you're going to need them for Part 2 and Part 3. Those are going to be a video that's going to be coming up really soon. We're going to be tackling a Form Dex, and of course, the biggest challenge of all, a Master Dex. But in the meantime, if you found this video helpful and you're able to use it to actually complete your Living Dex, let me know down in the comments below. Obviously, we want to help you guys, and that is the reason this channel exists. We want to bring our knowledge and passion of Pokemon to each and every one of you, and if even one of you guys completes your Living Dex by following this tutorial, it is going to be a great day for us. And of course, if you were able to use this video and it was helpful for you, please make sure that you actually like and subscribe because it helps us out a ton. So, thanks in advance. So that being said, everybody, thank you so much for watching. And again, I've been Blaine for Bridge 4 Games. It means so much that you guys stopped by. And again, I hope this video is a huge help to you. But as always, please remember that the best Pokemon games are the ones that you love to play. And the proper ways to play them are how you have the most fun. Again, if any of our viewers are watching over in Ukraine, please stay safe. Please make sure that you guys are doing okay because ultimately that is what matters more than anything else. And as always, I hope each and every one of you out there have a happy, epic, awesome, and amazing day. And of course, I'll see you in the next video. See you around. Bye-bye.